Hey guys, it's Chris Racine here back from C&H Smology again for another informative review video. This one deals with the basic fundamentals of lawnmowers and stuff like that. This actually deals with the oil level and the actual measuring of your oil as well too, because we received quite a few calls over here, and that's in the past 8 years from like people who didn't really understand or how to check your basic oil level to make sure the oil is up to proper snuff and what the actual grade of oil is plus the capacity and stuff like that. So I want to try to help eliminate some people who have problems doing this by giving you some kind of a demonstration over here as well too. So what I have in front of me right here is two dipsticks that most people have in most of the newer machines out there, like I'd say post 2007, 2006, somewhere around there, because I don't have the Tecumseh one in front of me right now because Tecumseh went out of business back in '08. So these are the two, the ones you'll basically encounter for most machines out there. The one on the left side is the Briggs, or actually the one on the left side is the Honda style or the Honda clone you'll come in contact with. The one on the right hand side is the Briggs and Stratton style dipstick. These are mainly for either lawnmowers or small, call small riding tractors. Some of the small riding tractors have one similar to this, but the bigger lawn and garden tractors do not have the one on the right hand side. I just want to show you guys what these things actually look like and what you're supposed to look like whenever you're actually checking your oil level for it. Basically, the Honda one over here you see on the left side, the Honda or Honda Spec as I call them, because these ones are also in Chinese Honda clone style engines as well too. In order to check the oil level on these ones, the thread's supposed to be right at the top of your dipstick. Basically, you do not want to screw your dipstick all the way down till it mates with the top of the rubber O-ring on there for that. In order to check your oil level in your Honda or the Honda clone style engine, your oil dipstick must be basically resting on top of the actual lip where the threads begin on it right there for that. So it's basically sitting right on top of the threads lips where they start beginning on her for that. And by checking it, you have these little X crosshatch lines you see right down here, and by checking your oil level should be basically right in the middle, right about here. It should not be high, it should not be low, it should be basically right in the middle right here, as you see I'm pointing at right now right there for that. And you have to check the machine on a level surface. Basically I prefer to have the machine either like sitting overnight or at the bare minimum, leave it sit for about a half an hour on a level flat surface for that. And as I said before, you must have the dipstick hanging right on the lips of the threads where the actual thread right down in the dipstick tube right there. So it has to be sitting on the top. It cannot be threaded all the way down in the dipstick tube on there for that, because some people don't understand that or never was told that, and by like by friends and family and stuff like that, because most people don't really read their owner's manuals for proper protocol and procedures and stuff like that for that. And most Hondas, they're all the same basically for that specific setup. And the other thing is, most Hondas only take probably about 16 to 18 ounces of oil in the actual crank. You don't want to overfill by putting like 22, 24, 26, and 28, because we have people coming over here like dump a whole quart or quart and a half of oil and claiming that their whole dipstick was all the way up here when it's supposed to be up here. That's what they were told by their family and friends. No, that's basically completely incorrect. Your oil level is supposed to be right in the middle of the hash marks right down here. It does not need to be way up here to the top of the threads, because if you put it way up here to the top of the threads, you're basically killing your engine, because your oil is going to be extremely aerated in there. It's not going to be able to lube the engine properly, and you can basically blow up your engine. It'll basically die because the oil is basically extremely foamy in there, and it cannot lubricate the engine. And that's a non-warranted thing by whether it be the manufacturer or us over here as well too. The next dipstick right here is what we call the typical Briggs dipstick out there as well too. It's a long, straight, flat piece of steel here. You have markings on the side here, plus you have a black cap right on here as well too. And that's what it says. Let me flip it around here. It'll say like SAE 30 weight oil on there for that, recommended for most operating conditions, even though you can basically use multi-vis 10W30 in most of these applications out there for that. And it's basically typical steel. It's, like I said before, it's flat. And you have lettering on the outside right here. You don't even make it out, but it is there. Right at the base down here, you have 2 lines. One says add right here, and the next one says fill up here, and it says above that, caution, do not fill above the full mark. And it says above that, use 30 SAE weight oil right here for that. And by reading these things on here, this specific engine was actually in a Briggs & Stratton 7 horsepower overhead valve engine. And you have markings, as I said right before, down the bottom down here. I can barely make them out, but the camera might not be too good at making them out, but they're definitely there. And this one has crosshatch marks similar to the Honda clone engine right here as well too. However, these ones are actually etched into the metal right here for that. Your crosshatches are clearly marked right down here. You have the full line, you have the add line, and you basically want to keep it right in the middle of the full and the add line. It's okay if it's full all the way to the top. It's okay. It's right down by the add line, but as you closer you get to the add line, you have to put more oil in there to keep the engine running and lubed properly, because your oil basically keeps the engine clean and cool internally for that. And these machines take about 20. It's usually about 18 to 20 ounces of oil on there basically when you do an oil change. I'd say 20 ounces if you're basically putting oil in basically a brand new engine out there for that. And you can use 30 weight or you can use 10W30. Me personally, I use 10W30 simply because it's more cost effective on our end over here to buy, plus it's usually cheaper and there's a greater quantity of it when you actually do buy from your wholesaler, reseller, where like warehouse where you buy your oil from for that. Because I usually buy my oil in bulk, so I don't have to go down to Advance and buy it and once a week down there for that, because it's typically more expensive when you buy it in a smaller quantity as opposed to like buying me like a 36 pack from like an online vendor and having it shipped to your place. And you always gotta keep an eye on your oil level too as well too, because we had guys call us up. Same thing with the Honda filter, or the Honda dipstick, I should say. Sorry about that. Guys call us up telling us the oil level's way up here somewhere, and they'd dump a quart and a half oil into it, and the thing's still low, and they dump another half a quart, and it goes all the way to the top, and they wonder why their engine is basically blowing smoke to beat heck outside out there. And I tell them, you have to only use about 20 ounces of oil to keep your engine running satisfactory. You cannot put a quart and a half of oil in there, because we had a guy about a year ago. He his son brought the machine over because his son was like trying to do grass cutting and stuff like that. And the son, for whatever reason, after we gave the machine back to him, tuned up, ready to go for the season, his son took it upon himself to add an enormous amount of oil. He put I think about a quart and a half of oil on top of the oil we already put in there. And his dad called us up and was basically swearing at us on the phone, chewing us out, claiming we didn't do our job right. And I told the gentleman on the phone, we did the job right, sir. We only put 20 ounces of oil in there because your dipstick only allows for that, sir, and you cannot put any more other than that. And basically what happened was the guy basically ruined his engine. The guy ruined his engine because he had about a quart and a half of oil plus the oil we put already in there from the factory, OEM spec fill. And his oil level was basically, right, I said his oil was puking all outside of the seals, out of the intake, PCV pipe and stuff like that, and his engine oil became extremely aerated down inside there, and it basically locked the engine up after I think about an hour's running, and he tried to blame it on us and try to come back and try to sue us over that because he couldn't understand the simple procedure of checking your dipstick and making sure your oil level is up to spec on the dipstick. And that's basically what I tell every single person over here. You have to use the proper type of oil. The oil level has to be up, maintained to its proper specification, and that's the only thing I can really tell you guys, other than like looking in your owner's manual for that as well too. So if anybody has any comments, questions about what I talked to you about your basic maintenance and oil level and stuff like that, just feel free to leave me a message here, and I'll try to answer any of your basic questions as I do that. I'll see you guys, and have a nice day.